Pat yourself on the back because you are right here, right now, for a reason. Welcome to the On Purpose podcast, where together we will empower ourselves and others to live lives with more passion and purpose. How you doing today, Jared?
I feel good, buddy. I feel good.
Yeah, got that coffee going through
Got
your
some
veins.
coffee going, yeah. Speaking of coffee, if anybody listening wants to sponsor us with coffee, we're in.
Yeah, that'd be a great sponsorship.
Yeah, that'd be very good. And speaking of that, man, hopefully we can get back to doing like our coffee meetups and stuff again.
Hopefully.
I miss those.
I mean,
but I'll be honest, dude, I just can't. I hate wearing masks. Like I limit how much I go in public just because I don't want to wear it.
you just do them here. Little 6 to 8 person meetups.
Yeah, that's true. All right, we need to look into that.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know.
All right, what are we going to talk about today, Mr. Ollie? What are you thinking here?
The purpose of fighting in life. And I'll tell you, man, I've been reading a lot of peaceful spirituality books, so I may challenge the purpose of fighting in life with some Buddhist ideology.
Which in itself is a fight.
Which what?
Is in itself is a fight.
True.
It's a fight within.
Yeah.
Right? Think about like Buddhists are very internal.
Right.
When the urge is to do what? External.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to fight to bring it back.
There you go. And I would say Buddhists would probably argue that that's the only
fight.
Quote unquote fight, and they probably frame it differently.
What would they call it?
They probably call it discovery or something. Journey of self-discovery and trial and error.
Buddhist monks, that's what you're talking about?
Just Buddhist people in general. Anyone
Don't
who follows
Buddhist
Buddhism.
monks do some kind of martial arts, though? Don't they do like a Tai Chi or
yeah, Qigong.
Which is fighting. It's flowy for them, and it makes them feel good. It's physical fitness. But I bet if we really look, it came from a self-defense background.
Yeah, probably.
We all fight, dude. That's what I think. I think we all fight, and here's why. We all live life, and life ain't easy. Now, we don't all cage fight. We don't all get in the ring. But there are things we all have in life that we need to fight for. Now, I will say sometimes people don't fight for what they should, what they know they should because they don't want to put in the effort. But I do think that we are all fighters, and that's one of the things why I think, you look at the gym, why our fitness classes are so popular. None of them students are going to fight in the cage, but they come in and they fight to get physically fit. And we stress to them, like, when you feel good physically, you feel good about your body, feel good with your mind, you're more likely to feel good about other things in life, which is little small fights, small battles. Right? You become confident. You do more challenging things in life.
Yeah.
You back away from that. It's easy to back away from a lot of things.
Yeah. I have a different viewpoint.
Let me hear it.
I don't believe that everyone is a fighter. I think that there can be a decent argument for any type of adversity and frame it as in you have to fight. But I think there's many people who will tell you I'm not a fighter, right? I'm not. And when we talk about response to things, I forgot what the other one was, but I read somewhere that there's only 2 things that we're innately scared of, and that's loud noises. If you're a baby and you hear something loud, you get frightened and startled.
Yeah.
And there's something else.
Snakes.
Not snakes, but there's something else. I'll have to look into that. But that we have a fight or flight response. And I think that there's some people that are just wired to always flight and avoid fighting.
And I think the majority of your population will lean to that. But I don't think anybody should be all of one or the other.
Yeah, for sure.
That's not smart either way. But absolutely fight or flight. And I mean that's been studied and researched forever, and we know it. But I think even the people that would be like, I would just run away. you can find some reason to really be like, okay, I have to stop and fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we have it in us. I don't think not everybody practices it enough.
Practices what?
Being a fighter.
Mm.
Whether it's fighting for relationships, fighting to self-improvement. I mean, I think that's a fight, right? Like, how easy is it to go home and just turn on Netflix or whatever and binge watch when you know you should be reading a book, when you know you should be taking that class, when you know you should be learning the guitar, whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. What's the battle there? The battle is ease and convenience versus work again.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I seriously look at life as just one big fight.
Yeah.
Everything to me is a fight.
Yeah. Well, you have to look at your background and your
Yeah, I
experience,
guess.
21 years in the police force, MMA, martial arts, you've been an athlete. Most of your life has been fueled by competition, by literal fighting, challenge, to where someone who grew up in a Buddhist family, right, is gonna frame things so differently. They may not be able to resonate with that.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That would be so foreign to me. Maybe that's what it is. I just see everything as a competition. Like, it drives my wife nuts sometimes. I'm not going to lie. She'll be like, were you literally trying to push that shopping cart faster than me? Like, yeah, I was actually.
That's fun. Well, I think that it can be framed that way.
Yeah.
Too. I think, and I feel like we've talked about this before, to where you've done a really good job of framing things in a competitive way of, if you're not competing against someone, then you're competing against yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Your prior version of yourself. You're competing against your bad habits. You got the devil on your left shoulder, the angel on your right.
Oh, man. Speaking of that, I've been listening to this good song by Cody Jinks called The One I Feed. It's a country. He's a pretty good country dude, but it's talking about the black wolf and the white wolf that both live inside of us, and which one grows is the one I feed.
Country music's so good.
Cody Jinks, right there. Hey, you guys, get out and listen to Cody Jinks.
Cody Jinks, never heard of him.
Jinks. Yeah, he's pretty good. All right, so Ollie, so we got fight or flight, right? And within that, I would say lies fear. Fear kind of determines which way you go. Right? If I'm super scared, I run away. If I'm not quite as scared, I may stay and fight. So you just did your first MMA fight not too long ago. How do you handle the fear that comes with deciding to fight?
So the first thing I find myself doing in any situation where fear arises is thinking about what's the worst that could happen. What's the worst case scenario? Yeah. How scary is that? For fighting, worst case scenario for me would be, getting knocked out in front of all my friends and family, maybe even 10 seconds in and, I get hit with a hook or a head kick and I'm out, just KO'd out cold and injured, whatever, even die, even though I didn't think of that. But I thought the worst case scenario is I get in a few seconds, I get knocked out. And then I ask myself, okay, I imagine the worst case scenario and think, can I live with that if that happens? If the answer is yes, then I move forward, right? And most of the time, the answer is yes, I can live with that. Right there, I can't think of an example right now of, it's not worth it.
No, I think what we just talked about the other day, you kind of postponing the RV trip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that really wasn't out of fear.
No, but you calculated it.
Yeah.
Right? You looked at what's the worst case scenario, and you're like, okay, it's really not worth that risk right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is some fear associated with it, right? Like, what if I go out and do all this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about, do you look at all of the fear of not doing it, right? So a lot of times we think of fear as like, what am I afraid of if I do it?
Mm-hmm.
But do you ever look at, okay, what am I afraid of if I don't do it?
Oh, for sure. I look at that more.
I do too.
Yeah.
But I think that's different. I think a lot of people, if they hear fear, they're thinking like boogeyman, outcome. Like, what am I afraid of trying it? And I'd always ask you guys to think, what are you afraid of if you don't try it? Because then that usually for me will propel me forward.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay, well, if I don't try this, I'm afraid I'll never have that experience. I won't know what I could have been.
Yeah.
I won't know what doors could have opened if I'd have stepped into fear instead of hiding from it.
Yeah. And I think actually you've said this before, but I think one of the scariest thoughts is meeting the version of you at its full potential.
Yeah, who was that was Ed Milet. Said that the scariest thing on earth is to die and go to wherever you believe you go and see the version of who you could have been and you don't recognize yourself.
Yeah.
That I'm like, oh, that still gives me chills.
That just gave me chills right now. I was like, oh, shit.
I do all this stuff, and I get there, and I'm like, damn, that's who I could have been.
Yeah.
I wasn't afraid.
Mm-hmm.
If I wouldn't have, like our last episode, if I wouldn't have lived freely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I look at that a lot, though. I agree. I do look at the fear of what's the worst case scenario if I do it. But then I also love to look at, okay, what is the worst case scenario if I don't do it?
Yeah.
What happens? And the reality is I usually err on action. I'll try it.
Yeah.
At least once. And then you have experience. And then you know, okay, is this worth pursuing more? Like, you wanted to do one fight. I initially wanted to do one fight to prove to myself I could do it. Then I did it, and I was like, that wasn't near as scary as I thought.
Right.
I'm going to do another one. And then my wife was like, no, don't do it. And it's, but even fighting, like even the cage fighting, when I look back and reflect on that, if I hadn't pursued that, I'll be honest, this wouldn't be happening. Like, it literally, fighting for Sparta and fighting and meeting Jeff and Becca and Rob and that team opened up a whole different pathway in my life that had been there. I had always had these things, these ideas, but I wasn't in a circle of people that were doing this kind of stuff. Stuff like you do with business and taking risk. And, you know, I was in a much more go to work, a more traditional way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden I signed up for that first fight and I started writing about it. And all of a sudden I remembered I like writing. Wait a second, people actually will read what I write. Mm-hmm. And then Jeff was like, hey, we're having a media day, come talk. And I was like, shit, I forgot I like talking. Mm-hmm. You know, and then wait, well, everybody wants to wear shirts. Well, let's create shirts to give to charity. Mm-hmm. Wait, I forgot I'm way bigger than this police job. There's this whole other part of me that I had forgotten about. That was the fear of, if I don't ever do this, what? And I didn't know what that first fight would lead to. I just knew I was afraid of not doing it because I wanted the experience.
Yeah.
Think about it now, like look at my life now. If I hadn't done that first fight in 2016, in 2020, right, I own a gym. I get to coach you guys. And I help be part of your dreams coming true. The book, the speaking, like all of that. I'm telling you, it starts with that one fear and going into it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think hearing you say that is kind of uncovering some things about the purpose of fighting in life. And I think a big fight in life is fighting comfort, because it's easy to get comfortable and you don't see that there's anything wrong, right? We're living that traditional life. You're going through the motions. But I think fighting comfort and also fighting to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's where growth happens. That's where new opportunity happens. And that's where you can really identify the things that truly bring you joy and fulfillment. Like you're like, oh shit, I love writing. This is great. Oh, now I'm writing a book, right? But it took you doing something that made you uncomfortable, fighting that comfort. Like today, mental health is a big topic.
Yeah.
And I hear the term anxiety used all the time, anxiety disorders and all that. And don't get me wrong, I know there are some serious disorders out there that need help, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, everybody fights anxiety every single day. We're going to be anxious of something. We're going to be a little fearful of something. I mean, public speaking is ranked a bigger fear than death. You know, people would rather die than speak in front of people. So there's even a little bit of anxiety in social exchange, especially now that we have masks up and everything,
right,
to where we have to fight comfort, because when we get comfortable and stagnant, that's when decay happens. That's when you're dying, right? We need movement and change to spur life, to spur growth. And it's easy, I think, when you're living a certain type of, you use the word traditional life or blueprint life, to where you have everything and you're pretty comfortable. It's easy to just stay in that comfortable realm and not push yourself to feel uncomfortable. So that's something that I think we need to fight for.
Yeah, and I think we also need to fight deciding what we are or not going to do based on what everybody else is going to think or not think.
For sure.
You know, we fall in that trap. I think comfort's part of it, but I think a lot of people, especially as we get older and more established in life, shy away from doing new things because they're afraid of
judgment,
what else everybody else thinks. And it's the craziest thing, because if everybody is worried about what everybody else is thinking, nobody's actually thinking about you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense. And that was one of the things that I have embraced, is I don't really care what everybody thinks. Right? I want to live a life that I think is worth living. And that means I got to do scary shit sometimes. You got to do scary stuff, you know, and so do all you out there listening. Like, there's times you're going to be uncomfortable, you're going to be afraid, but to me, that's when I know I should probably do it.
Yeah.
If you pitch me in on an idea and I'm like, oh yeah, dude, I've done this 20 times already, I got this, I'm probably not going to do it. I'm bored.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you're like, what about that idea? And I'm like, ooh, that sounds scary. What do we got to lose there?
Yeah.
Let's give it a shot.
Yeah, fear is an indicator of growth. You know, if you have a sense of fear, it's probably something that's going to help you grow.
Especially if it's not a physical danger.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, if you're like, hey, dude, let's go
parkour on a rooftop.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna be
I
like,
hate those videos.
dude.
Yeah, I'm like, why? Why are you doing that?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna pass on that one.
Yeah.
But if it's something that I know, like you challenge me all the time with the books and the reading and the education, like there's part of me that's like, dude, I don't feel like reading right now, but I know I should.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is part of that development.
Yeah.
So how would you say, Ali, that fighting and just being a natural fighter has benefited your life?
Whew. Endlessly, man. Endlessly. I think fighting, literally and figuratively, gives you a sense of what you're capable of.
Ooh, nice.
It gives you a sense of what you're capable of, because when you're fighting, you have to push yourself. You're fighting, right? You're putting everything out there on the line, literally and figuratively. When you're really fighting for something, it informs you of your potential.
It's real, huh?
Mm-hmm. It's primal. It lets you know, what you're capable of.
Yeah, I agree.
What about you? How has fighting benefited your life, literally and or figuratively?
Yeah, just sharing that's what we talked about, writing and relationships and business and confidence, and just the realization that I want more than what I had. Not more things, but more experiences. and I want more out of my life, and that means I got to fight for certain things, and it means that I have to, quite honestly, you got to pick and choose, like, what am I going to fight for? Are there certain things that are worth it, and other things you're like, okay, this isn't quite as big a deal. Fighting for me, it just changed a lot of things. And I guarantee had I not done that, not met the people I met, Ryan and them along the way, my life would look totally different right now. But it comes from accepting that challenge. And the crazy thing is I had wanted to do an MMA fight since probably like 2005. And I was just never in the right situation to be able to do it. And it could have been easy to be like, okay, it's just not going to happen. I'm getting older. It's not going to happen. But it just kept kind of something I just constantly came up. And I think a lot of us have that, right? We have that thing. We're like, I really need to do this. But we'll find all these excuses or reasons why we don't. And I was just blessed to find a place where I could do it.
Yeah.
And then I look, man, and it's just crazy how it all aligned and what it opened up to and where it's led life. But I think the big key there is don't shy away from your fights. If there's things you want, just because it's not easy or convenient, or maybe not everybody else wants it, you're not living everybody else's life. If it's important to you, go do it. The worst thing that happens is you come up short, but you got experience along the way, and trust me, that experience is invaluable. That's the biggest thing. I think we play it too close to the vest, worried about outcomes. Oh, I gotta win. No, you don't have to win. You just gotta get experience.
Yeah.
So that's for me, man. How would you characterize your natural instinct now at this life? Because you're as we get older, we kind of get more mature, hopefully. Although my wife tells you I'm still not mature. How has the fulcrum changed on when you're going to fight or what's worth fighting for versus, say, 10 years ago?
Definitely in a physical sense, that's for sure. Definitely is a physical sense. I think 10 years ago, I always felt like I had something to prove, to where if anyone gave me a wrong look or anything like that, like I was much more likely to get in a physical fight.
Right.
To where today it's like, no way. That's the last resort kind of thing. And then in a more figurative sense, I'm fighting every day to be the best version of myself that I can be. Right? As soon as that alarm clock goes off, the first battle is, am I going to hit snooze and sleep in a little bit?
Right.
Or, take a loss right there? Or am I going to win and pop up?
Yeah.
And I think that's a constant fight, challenging myself, doing these 75 hard workouts, fighting comfort. Because it's easy in our day and age. I mean, we have running water, we have grocery stores, we have TV, we have phones, we have social media. It's easy. I mean, you can be on welfare. Half the country was just on unemployment. And especially here in our country, in the United States, we have it pretty easy. It's not like Renaissance times where people are starving and dying and people's heads are getting chopped off and you literally have to fight for your life every day. But I think today, fighting to be the best version of yourself is the main fight.
Yeah.
It's the main fight. And then in that, how you're going to be able to serve and help others be the best version of themselves as well.
Yeah, that reminded me of the workshop we did last October.
Mm-hmm.
And, helping people with their purposeful action plan. And I was just taken back to remembering how many people said their first thing they got to do is quit hitting snooze on that alarm clock.
Mm-hmm.
And so for those of you out there, that's, identify what it is you want to fight for, create a plan of how to get there, and then take action. And if it's something as simple as not hitting snooze, that's a win. Just like you said, that if you can win that first battle of your day, it sets your day on a whole different path. Versus knowing you should have been up whenever and hitting snooze 10 times, and now you're rushing out the door. You don't eat. You know, right? Like you just started your day off with bad energy, right? You're not winning your day already. Yeah, it just reminded me of that workshop.
Yeah. That's the first moment to start off on a winning streak.
Yeah.
You know, build up these small wins and keep winning. And I like the frame of fighting, because that's something that everybody understands. You know, it's primal. I mean, you don't have to speak a language to understand two people fighting, right? No. You know who's winning, who's losing. You understand that. And I think everybody can relate in some way.
Well, think about the people that most, say, mainstream, they look up to are the people that have overcome struggle and succeeded, overcome diversity. Well, how did they get there? They chose to fight. So here's my challenge to our team and our community is don't look at everybody else and think they're so much better than us or so much more unique than us because they had this tough challenge to overcome. We all have challenges to overcome. The difference is some people fight to overcome them and others just kind of allow that to become their ceiling.
Yeah.
You know, and it's life is short. You know, and I think that's one of the things I've definitely learned over this last year is life is too short for me to be quarantined and wearing masks and hiding in my house. Like, that shit ain't happening no more. And I got to fight for that. Right? So now I can't go out and just march down the streets and start fighting. But, okay, how do I fight for that? Well, I make changes. And we talked about that in the last episode, Living Freely. So go back and hear that to hear some of our changes. But you've adapted. You're making changes. You know, that's the fight. You know what I mean? Those little changes are our way of fighting what's happening. And we all have that. We all have that choice. We all don't need to sit back and just watch everybody else and think they're so much better than us, because they're not. They just made a choice to fight. Whether it's for your relationships, your personal growth and development, your business, whatever it is, fight it.
Amen.
So the other ask we have for you is, please, if you're enjoying the podcast, this is episode 87.
Dang.
That's a lot of episodes. If you're getting value from this, you're enjoying your time with us, one, we're grateful. And two, please like, subscribe, share it with your friends. And then jump over to Patreon and help us keep this thing going. We have membership options of all kinds of ranges over there to come with different benefits. And we'd love, especially in a time like this, to continue growing our On Purpose community and share the power of purpose with more people around the world.
Amen.
And remember, team, life is far too short to live any other way than on purpose. We will see you all again next week.